This is my son Mark on a little rocky horse. This is Obama with Caroline Kennedy that he made ambassador to Japan. So they're doing quite well. He recently spent a few nights in Windsor Castle, with Elizabeth and little William on his rocky horse. They brought it out, and I think he gave him the rocky horse, Obama. So Obama's allowed to spend the night in Windsor Castle, where the illegal Duke of Windsor, that's not his title. Excuse me if I've been in hell every moment of my life because I didn't break the law. This is the imposter that married Wallace Simpson. My dad never married this woman. Now then, both of them are buried Windsor Castle, Frogmore, on the grounds. He died, the imposter, in 72. My father, who married Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, I don't have a picture of her, but I had the O'Keefe genealogy sheet. Georgia O'Keefe's my aunt, the artist. So I imagine that the O'Keefes were pretty well worked over too. So let me get back to this if I can. My mom and dad were alive when I came to Roanoke, Virginia, October the 20th of 1986. This is Wallace with Mrs. Roosevelt. Friendly, aren't they? Okay, this is the birth certificate where they put me when they kidnapped me in 41, age 2. Mark through the dates when I asked for the birth copies. This is Carl, the twin. Lina's the mother who killed them. Her name's on here somewhere. I think, right here. That's Carl's name. Lina right here. They were born out of wedlock. Back then, they were called illegitimate, and I was referred to when I put there as a bastard. I was called a bastard. I was called Peggy. You want to know what happened to Peggy? They fed her to the pigs, and Carl was killed by her too, and that family shut it up. And they were born in 1938, about a year before they brought me there. So the birth certificate was wrong. It's illegal to mark through that. But supposedly everything that's happened to me is illegal. Now I want to show you, this is my Uncle George. Again, and this is 1939 with Roosevelt. They kidnapped me. That's the year I was born. They kidnapped me in 41 because the day I was born, I was Queen Victoria II, heir to the British crown. And I'm so tired and sick from what's been done to me and my children, my family, and country. They had to kidnap me. They didn't have to, but they did. My own uncle. Cain and Abel, right? My father's a good man. He was still alive, and like I said, when I came to Roanoke, they had the double buried with Simpson at Windsor, where Obama spent a few nights. After all, Joe Kennedy, the grandfather of Caroline, was made ambassador, and Caroline's dad flew in there, JFK, during my kidnapping, year before and a couple years later. So you can make the connection, and the cover-up of the Warren Commission would lead back to me. Anyway, I'll say this and no more. Larry Flint was shot in all this. I was telling about program shooters. just like here. This is Tex Mars, and that's Timothy McVeigh. The military put a chip up his rear, and he told everybody, and they programmed him. So the Oklahoma City was actually programmed by who? No, Timothy McVeigh didn't program himself, and this is the lovely little William. And then his little George, that the U.S. president went over and gave him a Rocky horse for Christmas. So this must have been after Christmas, I believe. Excuse me. Implantable biochips. That's what I was writing about in 78 when Flint was shot, and about U.S. Congressman Larry McDonald from Piedmont Hospital, and about Hardiman, the doctor, psychiatrist there, that Gene Strokerman had my attorney, Eugene Kaiser, who was a former district attorney of Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia. And she was gunned down. She was suing her psychiatrist for medical malpractice. She was gunned down on Christmas at Piedmont Hospital in Hardiman's office and blown up against the wall by the Christmas tree. So anyway, I can't go any further on it. I'm pretty sick this morning. So they hated Snowden. Everybody, he had to go to Russia to live. How about that? WikiLeaks, you got a hero locked up there, threatening his life. You know who I'm talking about, Julian Assange. I hope and pray every day that, okay, you can fill in the blanks. Now I wanted to say this, which is why I got on here this morning. I told about working for Ron Ziegler of the Watergate. I told about Henry Kissinger and the 18-minute gap on the Watergate tapes. He just endorsed Hillary Clinton. They're bosom buddies, they're family, and that they're part of the New World Order, the global one world government through the United Nations. All this started after they took down my father illegally and kidnapped me in 41. Follow your timeline. And then, of course, South Africa went. They had me over here, and here's the kicker they don't want to tell. Andrew Young was made ambassador, and deals were made back with Martin Luther King and Kennedy, JFK. Things to do to me, and they were using the mental health system. By the way, I don't have that. I had that. It's here somewhere. They were using the mental health system to discredit people and torture them. When you give, it's drugs, it's not medicine. When you give a person, or give us a doctor who, more so if it's a doctor, that's attempted murder, that's torture. That's not just medical malpractice. There's a lot of other charges that should be enforced. Anyway, that was what was going on. That the blacks in Atlanta, Martin Luther King, listen to his wife's name, Coretta Scott King. They use my son's name in a lot of this, Mark and Scott. Tucson, Arizona, where Gabby Gifford, the U.S. Congresswoman, was married to Mark, their astronaut and twins, Mark Kelly and the brother Scott Kelly, and he was on the space station when I started doing some of these videos. Anyway, it was programmed shooting, and to take your guns away. There's a lot of other ways they use it, but they don't want to tell about using mind control on their own citizens here in this country, and about the Illuminati, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, Kennedy clan, Roosevelts, my own family, Windsors, being a part of all this. They control the media and etc. So I've told about the media being controlled, and I get back to this. I worked for Ron Ziegler out of Telesecretary, Kensington, Maryland. I was living in Falls Church, right by Seven Corners? I've forgotten now. Used to be Lord and Taylor's right across the street from me. Uh, so I lived there briefly. I couldn't afford it, but I'd been out at Flint's to replace the Dr. Congressman Larry McDonald when the plane he was on, passenger plane, went down August the 31st of 83. And he was supposed to be aboard. Nixon was aboard and taken off in Juneau, Alaska. Now, Geraldo Rivera was taken off, or got off. They don't know if he's taken off, but he got off. They were en route to Seoul, South Korea. So anyway, I was out there, and Larry Flint wrote an editorial, which I've gotten all the other what was said, but he endorsed me, and he says in there that I know who's responsible for his shooting in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and he names Congressman Larry McDonald. And well, the other thing I wanted to get to here was I've said there was the media wouldn't print anything. I've gone to them over the years. I've done everything in the book. When I didn't have money, I walked and starved. And I found out in 83 about my kidnapping and who my father is, and the addendum to the forced abdication that made me heir to the crown, and it was all legal. It went through channels. So the day I was born, my father should have come back. I was born Queen Victoria II. He should have come back as my guardian or my power of attorney. So his own brother and that family then, not only had they lied about who my father was married to, he never married Wallace Simpson. So you've got the whole thing. Now then, that didn't work. I'm born, they got to take care of me, right? And did they ever? So this is where I'm going to on this. I'm going to skip a bit. I worked for Ron Ziegler during that time in D.C. in 84, though. It was after November the 16th, and I left the next March the 6th, or Larry Flint, the day he was shot. Only it's in 84. But during that time period, I had worked for Ron Ziegler of the Watergate. He was a staff member under Nixon. He was a good guy, by the way. They were at a show out in Las Vegas, and only a ghost crew were there in the office. And they deliberately left me the Rolodex that had all of the media. I'm talking about their kids, their home, their birth dates, everything. And, I mean, they had Diane Sawyer. They had them all. Well, you know what I did? I Xeroxed it all. Put them all in Xeroxed them. And when I was through, they come and took it and put it in the safe. They deliberately left it there and said, oh, we forgot we left this out. It belongs in the safe. So there you go. I put that up. So everybody, I don't have to use the word that there's a blackout, media blackout. The Rockefellers, the people that kidnapped me, control the media. And here you've got Trump trying to tell you. And I'm going to say this. I found out, I didn't even know this, that Bill Clinton has a son, Danny Clinton. He's on Facebook just like me. He's on Instagram, I was, and he's on YouTube. So I saw one of his YouTubes, and there's a blackout on him. He's half black, biracial, just like Obama. Obama. Wow. And he's trying to tell about his dad being Bill Clinton. He tells about what happened to him and all this. Now the thing with me is, there's no doubt about who I am. I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, daughter of King Edward VIII, legal, and my mother is Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, school teacher, sister to artist Georgia O'Keefe. Now this is going out. So why they've covered it up, you should see what they've done to me. And when you talk about Jews, they kidnapped me. And you should see what Dr. Hyman Miller did to me back in 62 on. And then Victor Gonzalez, who's a child psychiatrist, by the way, did to me and my family. And there's a seal on it. And I guess it's okay to try to kill you, though, because April Fool Day of 80, they put antifreeze in. It was ongoing. And yet I ended up illegally taken across the state line, another crime, by Lina Dempsey, the mother of the twins, to Huntsville, Alabama again, where a miracle happened, and I managed to live and work for the district attorney, Fred Simpson, and I lived at Warren House Apartment as in the Warren Commission cover-up. Now then, blackout on the media. Who locks the media up?